I would like to welcome you all to this meeting, which is both taking place here at Oak House and being broadcast live on YouTube. Item number 1 of the agenda, the minutes of the last meeting held on the 16th of September. They're included as item 1 on the agenda. I move the minutes to be accepted as a true record of the meeting. Could I have a seconder for that? Thank you. The minutes are agreed as a true and correct record of the meeting. Oh, sorry, does everybody approve? Thank you. Thank you very much. So are there any abstentions or anybody opposed? Abstention. Thank you, Teresa. The minutes are agreed then as a true record. Thank you. Item number 2, are there any apologies for absence?
Chairman, I have apologies from Councillor Byte and from Councillor Carr with Councillor Cullen substituting. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 3, declarations of interest by members and officers. Do any members or officers present have any interest to declare?
Thank you, Chair. Interest in the main item as local member for Leek Ruddington, but I've got keeping an open mind on everything.
Item number 4, declarations of lobbying. Do any members present have any instances of lobbying to declare? None. Okay. Item number 5. Barton Lane, Ratcliffe-on-Soar. The agenda to consider a planning application for a proposed quarry for the extraction of gypsum with ancillary development and on-site processing, site access of Barton Lane and restoration of the site at the land north of Ratcliffe-on-Soar Power Station, Barton Lane, Ratcliffe-on-Soar. I move the recommendations in the report.
I second the recommendations and retain the right to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. I invite Emily Dodd, Principal Planning Officer, to present the report and any further information relevant to the application.
Thank you, Chairman. The application before you is for a proposed quarry for the extraction of gypsum with ancillary development and on-site processing. The site access is taken off Barton Lane and there's restoration of the site. This is all at land north of Ratcliffe-on-Soar Power Station. The key issues relate to the appropriateness of the development within the Greenbelt, the implications resulting from the Ratcliffe-on-Soar Local Development Order, whether or not the proposal complies with the planned approach for minerals as set out in the Minerals Local Plan, the impacts on traffic and highways and residential amenity, and issues relating to ecology and biodiversity. The site lies in the southwestern corner of the county and is on land to the north of the now decommissioned power station at Ratcliffe-on-Soar. The A453 can be seen on the plan. It's that green bold line. There's also the railway line running north to south with Parkway Station. I don't know if you can see that. Jonathan's just indicating that on the screen for you. The site's accessed off Barton Lane, which runs roughly parallel to the A453 and leads to the village of Thrumpton. The site itself comprises 35 hectares of arable land. There's protected woodland at the Ridge, Wrights Hill and Wood Hill, and conservation area village of Thrumpton to the north. The Grade 1 listed Thrumpton Hall is also to the north of the site, roughly in that area there. The site has a public right-of-way running north to south. It also lies within the Greenbelt, and there is a triple SI of Attenborough gravel pits some 2.5 kilometres away. The contour map here shows the slopes on the site, so those members that attended the site visit yesterday will recall that the site slopes up from south to north with a ridge at the top of the hill, and then it slopes back down towards Thrumpton village. The photograph here shows the approach to the site from the A453. So if you are travelling westbound on the 453, you come down underneath the 453, and then this is towards the site entrance. So the site entrance is on the left-hand side of the screen there, and Barton Lane running across to the right-hand side. And you can just sort of start to see the slope of the site from that photograph as well. Second photo is the site access itself. So the field gate there is the access to the site. And again, you've got Barton Lane on the right-hand side of that photograph. And then we just spin round and look back the other way towards the roundabout. Again, Barton Lane is to the left of the photo now, and the roundabout in front gives access to the A453 Nottingham bound. The application was originally submitted proposing 76 vehicle movements a day as a direct replacement of the vehicle movements associated with the DSG from the power station. A significant proportion of the extracted gypsum would be transported to British Gypsum's East Leek Works, although some may also be transferred to British Gypsum's Sherburn Works to the east of Leeds. Upon further discussion with highways officers, it's been proposed to limit the level of movements to East Leek to 48 movements, or 24 loads per day, which would be an increase of no more than 10% above baseline levels of traffic movement along the designated route to East Leek, and would remove any requirement for road condition surveys or repair. It's been explained that the gypsum travelling to the East Leek factory would displace some of that travelling from Newark, the Bantycock quarry, and overall the amount of mineral processed at the factory, and therefore the number of vehicle movements, would not be increased, but this would be a betterment in terms of the gypsum travelling a shorter distance. Some of the gypsum extracted would, as mentioned, also go to Sherborne in Yorkshire, and this would use the M1 motorway route. The photograph here is taken at the site access and looks northwards along the current route of the right-of-way through the site. We'll just move on to some further plans. This shows some of the cumulative impacts nearby. So the application site's indicated in red, and the small green site just to the south is the extant permission for the Emerge Centre, which is the energy from waste centre that's not yet been fully built out. To the north in blue is the Barton and Fabus planning application, which is yet to be determined. That's the sand and gravel extraction. And over to the east there is the Fareham Sustainable Urban Extension, which is housing, commercial, schools, etc. The next plan here is a detailed plan of the site layout. So again, if members were on the site visit yesterday, this is the plan that you were looking at out on site. So hopefully it will be familiar. There are proposed to be 2 extraction pits, east and west, and these will be box cut pits achieved by drill and blasting. The processing area will be central to the site, and there will be 3 areas of overburden stockpiling. There'll be an overburden mound established to the northeast corner of the site. That's currently labelled Mudstone Tip. It's the pinky area there, to a height of 9 metres and surrounded by a soil bund of 3 metres. There'll be another overburden mound in the centre of the site to the south of the processing area, and that would be up to a maximum of 20 metres, which would be the highest mound. And another area to the north of the processing area reserved for overburden and soil stockpiling to a height of 15 metres. The west pit itself would have a soil bund to the northern edge to a height of 3 metres, and there'll be a water management area established in the western corner of the site. The eastern pit would have a soil bund along the southeastern boundary, continuing northwards to meet the clay mound. Yeah. So the next slide we have here is to give you an idea and some context of what we mean by blasting to extract the mineral. So this is a video taken from Bantycock Quarry at Newark. So this is a gypsum extraction, and it shows a similar technique to that would be used at the application site. So we'll just play you the video and you can see what the impact of that is. apologies, we can't seem to get the sound to come out of the big screen, but hopefully it will show you that the blasts are fairly limited. The actual noise and dust and overall effect is quite limited, and a well-designed blast will direct all the pressure into the ground to break the mineral apart for extraction. So you shouldn't actually see or hear a great deal from the blasts themselves. Thank you. So the next few plans just show you the phasing of the site, so how the site will be worked out. The initial phase is to put in the haul roads as indicated by the dark line and the sort of turquoise line on the screen. Yeah, next one. Phase 2 is when soil stripping begins. So the plan is to start in the western corner of the site, so that's the left-hand side of your screen. So soil will be stripped and then stored in the to the north of the processing area where the reddy orange colour is. And then the next phase, phase 3, is when the box cut begins in the western corner. And then the soil stripping then begins in the next phase over. And then as you'll see as we go through, it gets backfilled through the site. So through the west pit, there's another west pit drawing. And then that's after that third phase in the west pit, we then move down to the east pit. And again, that's then taken to backfill into west pit. So it gradually gets restored as time goes on. And then the final phase is the restoration phase, and this restores the land to predominantly to suitable for the local development order to then come in and develop over. The dark green area on the right hand side would remain as arable land. The sort of peachy colour would be a level development platform for buildings to go on, and the green area is indicated as solar, but this is all part of the local development order rather than part of our application that we're considering today. I think we've then got a few more photographs for you. So these were taken last summer, so we've got a photo from about 2/3 of the way up the site, looking south. The next photograph looks west from inside the power station land. So that looks towards where the sort of processing area in central overburden mound would be located. And then further photo is from the top of the right of way where it meets Wrights Hill, looking south. So careful consideration has been given to the landscape visual impact resulting from the proposed mineral extraction. And the landscape visual impact assessment describes the site as contained, and the effects of the proposal are unlikely to be noticeable in terms of landscape character beyond the local immediate area. I have got a few extracts from that document to give you a snapshot of the effects. The full photographs are available in the document on the website if members are interested, but I'll just show you the ones that I've picked out as the most useful. So this is from the site entrance, and you'll see on the top photograph there's a red dotted line, and that shows the extent of the soil storage height. And then the photograph below is from Church Lane in Thrumpton. So this is stood at the junction of the right of way, which is roughly where we parked our cars on the site visit yesterday and looked up the hill towards the site in the background. So the yellow there shows the extent of the mounds, which would mainly be screened by the land topography and the woodland. Further viewpoints, so these are from within the site at the top of the footpath, looking southeast and southwest respectively down the site. So the overburden mounds there would be higher, but that is from within the site. And then the final one is at the top there is a view from Winking Hill Farm, which is to the south of the A453, and then from Thrumpton Hall. And the one from Thrumpton Hall is really just to demonstrate that there would be no visual impact due to the lay of the land and the woodland there. Thank you. And then just a further photo, roughly central in the site where the processing area would be, which is an area of woodland and scrub vegetation. The application has been submitted with relevant ecology surveys and a completed BNG metric, which shows the site's capable of providing on-site net gain of 18.01%. There are bat roosts and maternity roosts identified in close proximity to the site, and careful consideration has been given to impacts of working in close proximity to these. Detailed conditions are set out in the report to limit activity at certain times of the year and ensure the protection of the bats. The protected woodland at the ridge at the northern edge of the site would be protected by adequate standoff distances, and Natural England have also been consulted regarding any potential impact to Attenborough SSI. The SSI is currently in an unfavourable status due to pollution, and as such, Natural England's main concern centred around the discharge of surface water to the River Trent and the concentration of substances in that water discharged. They have sought clear rationale regarding efficiency of sustainable drainage components in treating that surface water for relevant pollutants. And the applicants explain there's a large dilution factor from the River Trent, and in most cases, the discharge concentration of substances from the site is lower than the average concentration in the river anyway. So as such, there's no impacts on the Attenborough Nature Reserve, and Natural England are satisfied with this information. The next slide shows you the restoration plans. There is a scheme that complies with the LDO, which is where we've got the development platform. That's the one at the top of the scheme, and the scheme below shows that in the event that building development doesn't come forward, the site would be laid to grassland. On both schemes, the west pit would be seeded as grassland with scrub edge, and on the east pit, it's proposed to have woodland to the eastern perimeter and scrub to the northern perimeter. The northeast section of the site would be returned to arable. So in summary, the site isn't allocated, but nonetheless has come forward at this time to avoid sterilising the gypsum beneath the site prior to the local development order being built out. The application is subject to the environmental impact assessment regulations and is accompanied by an environmental statement, which has been supplemented by additional information under Regulation 25. The Nottinghamshire Minerals Local Plan, Policy MP1, seeks to ensure a steady and adequate supply of minerals in Nottinghamshire, primarily by identifying suitable land in the form of site allocations, but also by providing scope for development of non-allocated sites where a need can be demonstrated. In terms of environmental effects, having assessed the main issues and potential impacts of the proposed development at both operational and restoration stages, officers consider there to be no unacceptable impacts, either as an individual issue or in cumulation with other effects. There would be some temporary major adverse effects on landscape, which are largely reversible, and whilst significant, are unavoidable during the extraction. But it's considered these effects are justified, particularly in light of the short time frame for extraction. And similarly, the impact on the openness of the greenbelt would be limited by the short extraction time frame and overall restoration scheme. The National Planning Policy Framework gives weight to protection of both designated and non-designated heritage assets, and in this case it's been judged there would be less than substantial harm to both the setting of the designated Grade 1 listed Thrumpton Hall and the Thrumpton Conservation Area, and to the non-designated parkland at Thrumpton Hall. In this case, the public benefits of the mineral extraction in terms of not only not sterilising the deposit, but also allowing preservation of deposits elsewhere for later use, and reduction in emissions and highway impacts from shorter travel distance to the factory, are considered to outweigh the less than substantial harm to the assets. Conditions are required to ensure that the potential archaeology on site is adequately recorded and preserved where identified. A net gain in terms of BNG has been demonstrated as possible to achieve at the site, and careful consideration has been given to the sites of bat roosts and how they would be affected by the development. Precautionary conditions are recommended that would ensure their protection, particularly during noisy activities. Matters relating to contamination and environmental management, public rights of way and highways have been resolved. So the development is considered to be in accordance with the development plan as a whole and with particular reference to the Nottinghamshire Minerals Local Plan, and it's considered sustainable development that should be facilitated by a grant of planning permission. The application is therefore before you, Chairman, with a recommendation to approve subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. I now invite Jen Saunders to speak on behalf of the applicant, Jen, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and we'll notify you when there are 30 seconds left. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the committee. I am here on behalf of British Gypsum, who manufactures essential products for use in buildings all around us. Our plasters and plasterboards are at the heart of homes, offices, schools and hospitals throughout the UK. To make these products, we need gypsum, which is a finite resource that can only be worked where it is found. Given its limited availability in the UK, these reserves are considered to be of national importance, which are necessary to meet society's needs. Unless the gypsum at Ratcliffe is extracted before surface development as part of the already permitted local development order takes place, this important mineral will become inaccessible and therefore impossible to extract in the future. Extracting the gypsum now is the only way to avoid the loss of up to 1 million tonnes of quarryable, commercial and high-quality gypsum. The site is covered by a minerals safeguarding area, as detailed in the officer's report, which seeks to avoid this mineral sterilisation. We have a long history of extracting gypsum in the area and work hard to be a good neighbour, playing a responsible role as part of our community. Prior to submitting the application, we carried out an in-public consultation so we could gain feedback from local residents about our proposals and try and allay any concerns they may have. We have also been working with the owners of the power station to design our proposals so that they can be undertaken without impacting future development on the LDO. We've worked collaboratively with your officers to answer all questions and points of clarification. Gypsum extracted from the site will primarily be transported by lorry to our site at Eastleek, around 5 miles away. Some gypsum will also be transported by lorry to our factory in North Yorkshire. The route to Eastleek will be the same that has been used by lorries for over 30 years for the transport of man-made gypsum from the power station to Eastleek, which no longer takes place. We are proposing fewer vehicle movements for the quarrying activities than has taken place historically. The gypsum from Ratcliffe will displace some of the material that is currently imported to Eastleek from further afield, currently Newark. The development therefore provides sustainability benefits in terms of a significantly shorter distance for imported rock travelling to Eastleek. Once extraction has taken place, the site will be progressively restored over a 1 to 2 year period, which will be influenced by the need to prepare the site for future development as part of the LDO. The restoration scheme will include areas of new habitat such as species-rich grassland and woodland, along with enhancing existing hedgerows and woodland. We have a proven record of successful restoration at our sites. These include a former gypsum quarry and now a popular birdwatching site south of Newark, and progressive restoration currently taking place at Banticock Quarry, also south of Newark. The environmental assessments carried out demonstrate that, subject to planning conditions, the proposed impacts of the development are considered to be acceptable for both local residents and the environment. We therefore hope that you can permit the application in line with your officer's recommendations to prevent this nationally important mineral being lost.
Thank you very much. Do any of the officers wish to respond to any of the matters that have been raised? Thank you. I'll now open the floor for debate. If anyone would like to speak, could you please raise your hand, indicate you'd like to take it? Councillor Barlow, please.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, I was on the site visit yesterday, which I found very informative and very helpful. It always helps to be on site to see things. Having obviously read through the report, I do have 1 or 2 sort of concerns. Can you confirm that the archaeology will be completed before any work commences? That was obviously one of my concerns. Another concern is, it mentions obviously on the publicity side, things were mentioned about crystalline silica and potential health impacts and health risk from asbestos fibres discovered in some boreholes. Has this actually been assessed at any point? And also, with regards to, obviously your thing of the blasting was very good. What do you do if it's, obviously we get a lot of higher winds these days, which obviously carries more dust then. Will that mean that if it's really, really windy, that blasting won't take place? Those are my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Anybody else from the committee want to? Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to thank the applicant for welcoming us to site yesterday, and for officers who had some very skillful driving to get us up the muddy banks. So thank you very much. Can I just draw attention to paragraph 39? It mentions the hours of operation. I'm very pleased to see that blasting won't take place. It's called blasting. I won't define that as a blast, to be fair, but it says it won't take place on Saturdays, Sundays or bank holidays. That's absolutely great, because if you live nearby, you deserve to have a peaceful weekend. It does say, though, that service, maintenance and testing of the plants can take place from 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. on Sundays. Can we just go in, maybe the applicant can tell us what testing of the plant would be? Would that be to test if the blasting equipment still works? Because if it does, then that doesn't comply with the blasting time frame below that. So just some clarity on what that is, please. And also, I note that the parish council on paragraph 49, the last bullet point, mentioned that 76 journeys per day was a limit given in 1993, and they quite rightly say that traffic levels have altered dramatically in the years since then, and I totally agree with them. Can you enlighten me to when we, as the local authority or the applicant, have carried out a traffic level assessment since that date? Because 1993, a lot's changed since then. So I just want some clarity on that, please. Thank you very much.
Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I'd just like to take a look at paragraph 40, where it states a significant proportion of the extraction of gypsum will be transported to the Sherburn Works via, which is east of Leeds, using the motorway network and the A1 and A162. Can we get assurance that if they're going to get to the A1, they use the M1 to get to it and not the 453 up to the A46, please? And the other assurance I'd like from them, although the spokesperson from British Gypsum has quite rightly said about the route will be stuck to that's already there, transporting the stuff via gypsum, weighing everything else. I just want assurance that that's going to be adhered to, simply because in the last 48 hours there's been an incident where one of your trucks is travelled a couple of miles down a road with weight restrictions on it and done considerable damage in the village of Kingston-on-Soar, which I've got to say that the people I've been speaking to at British Gypsum have been excellent at getting onto the job and investigating it quite correctly, and speaking to officers at County Hall to get the thing resolved. But I want assurances that this will never happen again. Having said that, I know from past experience of dealing with British Gypsum in the past that they are very good neighbours, and I'm sure what they're saying will be adhered to. But I just want clarification that this will be adhered to. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Chowdhury?
Sorry. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for this presentation. Nicely, Chairman and Vice Chairman and staffs, the officers and the applicant itself. I've got only one concern about the Nottinghamshire Wildlife Trust objection. So, has any of our officers got any reports exactly what kind of impact will be for the trust locally for the nature reserves concern? Have you got anything you can tell us about? So that is 21, page 21.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further debate? Any other councillors, members wish to speak? Thank you, Emily. If you want.
Thank you, Chairman. So I'll just try and take those points in order. In terms of the first query about archaeology, there are conditions. I think it's number 17. I'll just double check. I did write that down.
17.
Conditions 17 and 18. So 17 requires a scheme to be submitted, which will then set out the strategy and time periods. But it is a pre-commencement condition because, as members rightly point out, archaeology needs to be dealt with and recorded where in situ prior to anything happening. So that would be pre-commencement. The second question was regarding the comments from the public about asbestos. There was a technical appendix to the environmental statement which dealt with issues of any chemical substances that had been explored on site. Now that concluded from looking at the boreholes and looking from the site that there were no traces of asbestos in the made ground area. No traces of asbestos, and the made ground area is not to be disturbed in any case. So hopefully that puts members' minds at rest in terms of any risk to human health. Blasting is controlled by conditions 42, 43 and 44. So there are quite stringent requirements in terms of the blasting. So we haven't got a specific condition which limits it during certain levels of wind. We have. Oh, sorry. So it's be part of the dust management planning condition 10. So that would be for the applicant to determine on the day, look at the conditions, and if they were not confident that that could be that the dust could be suppressed, they wouldn't carry out the blasting on that particular day. And that's what happens already at Banticock Quarry, is they'll look at the conditions, look how dry it is, how windy it is, and determine whether they do blast that day or not. So in relation to traffic and journeys, our highways colleagues have assessed that afresh in terms of this application. I don't have the exact date of when our last traffic surveys were taken on, but we do have up-to-date data related to how much movement is on that highway, and there was a lot of work done around the local development order itself as well, and highways are satisfied that there would be less than 10% impact on the local road network as a result of these additional journeys. Yeah, so it would be lower, fewer journeys than the 76 associated with that 1993 permission. In terms of asking lorries to use the not to use the A1 to get to the M1, routing agreements such as that require a Section 106 agreement. I think, given the proximity of the site to the M1 junction, I think it would be unlikely they would use that route. If we felt that strongly about it, it would require a legal agreement. So that would be the only option if members felt strongly about that. But I think, given where the location of that site is, it would be more likely they would use the main route down to the M1. And then I think finally we had a query about the Notts Wildlife Trust. So the Nottinghamshire Wildlife Trust aren't just responsible for nature reserves, they also look more broadly at the ecology of the Nottinghamshire area. So their comments were quite, some of them were more generalised about concerns about the site, and they have been set out in paragraphs 191 to 193, and how we have resolved those in terms of liaising with our own in-house ecologists as well. So hopefully I've covered everything there, Chairman.
Just the query that Councillor Smith made about maintenance of vehicles and stuff like that. I don't know whether that was something possibly that the applicant might be able to pick up on. Yes, that planting that maintenance works that are allowed on a Saturday afternoon. It is basically just looking at any vehicles, plant and machinery that uses the site, if anything needs any repairs, etc. doing. That extended period of time during the day on a Saturday is what that period's there for. It's no guarantee they'll need to use it. Hopefully all the plant machinery is working properly, but that is what my understanding is as to what that kind of works those kind of works entail, and whether the applicant can help confirm that.
Yeah, I'm happy for the applicant to confirm.
I think it'd just be standard maintenance. If we've got a digger or something, just looking at the engines, maybe it's these conditions they've been taken from Bandycock. So it's something that we know that works there and hasn't caused an issue, and we wouldn't expect it to generate unacceptable noise levels. That's been all assessed in the noise assessment, and it's not been flagged up as being an issue. Otherwise, we wouldn't have carried it forward as part of this assessment.
Councillor Brown, did you wish to?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Going back to using the M1 to get to the A1, we would actually, I would prefer, if other members agree, for that to be something put in writing about that. I understand that on occasions the M1 isn't accessible, like it was the last 2 nights because of a serious lorry fire. But when they can use it, I think they should be using it. I'm sure local residents would like to see an assurance on that, or if we could put an agreement of some form together to assure that, please.
I think what we've got at other sites,
Sorry?
what we've got at other sites, and what we could do at this site is a good package of driver training. So every driver that comes onto this site, we'd have a package, and we could put something in internally to say go to use the M1 up to Sherburn. Given how close we are to that junction, we'll have to revert back to the officers, but we'd rather that, I think, than a legal agreement, given how many vehicles are on the road network in that location. But we could definitely put a driver induction programme, if you wanted that, adding into one of the conditions, into the construction environmental management plan, into the ongoing environmental plans that's submitted to your officers.
Yeah, happy with that, Chair. Thank you.
Jonathan, did you want to add something? Thank you.
Yeah, I think the idea of either amending an existing condition or drafting an additional condition to that effect, that's something we're perfectly happy to do, and we can get that drafted and approve it through the chair and the vice chair. We'll also let Councillor Brown know about it as well.
Yeah, I'm assuming all the committee are happy with that. Yeah, thank you. Is there anybody else wishes to add to the debate, or any additional questions that members might wish to ask? Is everybody? Councillor Chowdhury?
Yes, regarding the publicity, can officer highlight how we monitor the project from NCC side? Can you just highlight to us so that we at least understand?
Yeah, at the committee we had in September, Tim Turner gave a presentation about the monitoring and enforcement work that him and his colleagues do. This will be a site, particularly during its setting up phase, that we will visit quite fairly regularly, probably 4 times a year, to ensure that the development on site is being carried out in accordance with the conditions that are set out in the planning permission, should members grant planning permission today. And obviously we do respond promptly to any complaints that we might receive as well. We have our local enforcement plan in place, and that sets out the time frames by which we respond to complaints and get out to sites as well. So the site will be routinely monitored, and there is also a liaison group. Yes, there is a condition. Does that? There is. What's right?
8.
Condition 8 as well requires a community liaison group to be set up as well. So that will be separate to our monitoring that's carried out. Community liaison group, they operate at quite many of the quarries around the county today. And in fact, there is actually one being carried out at some quarries to the north of Newark this morning. So we'll set up a local liaison committee and invite members of the local public, local representatives from the parish councils, officers from both county council and quite possibly Rushcliffe Borough Council, I'm particularly thinking about environmental health officers, to sit on that liaison committee. And that's just an opportunity to discuss any the ongoing operation of the site and any issues that might have been arisen. So that's covered by conditions already. Okay.
Councillor Brown?
Thanks, Chair. One final question, if I may. If the committee are mindful to turn this application down, how many jobs are at risk? I suppose my question is going to say, is the Eastleigh and Sherburn sites reliant on extra longevity with this application? If it was to be turned down, would it shorten the lifespan of Eastleigh, for example?
I think the main impact that it would have is on the quarry in Bantycock. So at the moment, we import quite a lot of material into the Eastleigh site, and by having this closer site to Eastleigh, it means that displaces some of the Newark imports that we would have to do. The Bantycock quarry is a bit different because it's got such high quality gypsum there that we want to try and preserve it. So if we've got another source of gypsum that we can use at Eastleigh instead, then that preserves the life of Bantycock and potentially in the future of that factory and employment there.
Thank you. As the debate of this item is concluded, I will now move to the vote. Do any members request that the vote on this item is recorded? Thank you. Would all those in favour of approving the recommendations please raise your hand? Thank you. That's unanimous. The recommendations are therefore approved. Move to item number 6 on the agenda, the Development Management Progress Report. I invite Jonathan Smith, Team Manager, Development Management, to present the report. Jonathan, to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is the report we bring to every committee. Appendix A highlights the applications received and those determined between the 1st of September and the 9th of October. And Appendix B sets out the committee's work programme for forthcoming meetings, and members are asked to give consideration to the need for any site visits that will be beneficial on any application scheduled to be reported to committee in the near future. In particular, as you will see, at the moment, we are potentially hoping to bring the application for the new sand and gravel quarry at Barton in Fabus to committee in December. Like I said, we're still working very hard on that application at the moment. Whether it comes to committee in December or January, we can't categorically confirm at the moment. But I think, particularly in light of what I felt was the benefit that members got from the site visit yesterday to Ratcliffe-on-Trent, I would certainly encourage a site visit to Barton in Fabus to see that site. I'll leave it to the committee to consider that. And if you do want us officers to organise such a visit, we will be happy to do so. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that, Jonathan. As chairman, I'll address the committee. I think it will be very prudent of us to arrange a site visit to Barton in Fabus. Obviously, we're aware of the strong feeling locally amongst residents. I'm sure we've all received plenty of lobbying so far. And I think the site visit was very beneficial for us as a committee yesterday. We got a lot out of that, learnt a few things. And I just recommend everybody turns up in the correct footwear if we're having a site visit. Thank you very much. There being no further business, I'll bring this meeting to a close and thank you for your time and participation today. Thank you very much.